when people are going through these spiritual transformations, give yourself a break because you don't know that destination. So when you stumble upon it, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel foreign to you. You're going to be like, I don't know, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go back to comfort. But no, you're going to want to stay there and just like walk and get used to it and explore this new part of yourself, because I promise you in a couple days it's going to start to feel so right.
Welcome to Living in 5D with your host, Peter D.
Welcome to Living in 5D. I'm Peter D. I'm your host today, and get ready to be blown away because we have Curtis Knuth from Ottawa, Canada with us today. Curtis, will you say hi briefly before I go into your introduction?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Peter.
Oh, it's my honor, and you guys just wait till it's going to happen. Let me tell you how I met Curtis. So he signed up to get a session from me, and I'm thinking that this is just going to be a regular session, and I'm working with Curtis, and nothing is clicking. I try all the stuff I know how to do, and nothing is going on. And eventually, Curtis says, "Well, I died when I was 6, and then I came back after 2.5 months in a coma, and it's not been the same since then. I have all kinds of awareness and everything." And I'm like, dude, you're walking maybe, and you've got some stuff that you're choosing to deal with, which is beyond what I have to offer you right now. And he humbly appreciates that I'm realizing that I got nothing to give him, and he offers to give me a little bit of something that he has discovered. And in 5 minutes, I had this amazing transformation. And I'm like, oh my God, Curtis, can you please come on this program and share this with everybody? So, Curtis, go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into this.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Yeah, it was amazing. So I saw Peter on Next Level Soul podcast with Alex, and it resonated with me, the things that Peter was saying. I love that there's no closed-mindedness with Peter, which I love that, because we truly are limitless beings. And when we allow ourselves to even let that in, my whole life I was carpenter, sports guy, just your run-of-the-mill, one of the dudes. And I had never thought I would be into reading books, to researching this type of material. And it ignited me, and I became a consumer of books. In a matter of 4 years, I read over 180 books.
I
Was
get out. Oh
I
my gosh.
I was gifted old books. A friend of mine gifted me a book from 1828. It's one of the original Webster's dictionaries,
Wow.
and because he knows my love of these things, and I began to challenge dictionaries. So I was fascinated with finding ones from long ago and today. And interestingly enough, I started to notice the definition of the words shifting, and you could see the shift in kind of the awareness of the writer of these books. So, in one particular word, I'm sure that everyone would be quite valuable of in this moment. I looked up the definition of want in the 1828 dictionary, and it was only one word, and the word was lack. So
Oh,
when everyone goes around and says, I want this, I want that, you're actually affirming that you don't have it, which is a really interesting thing, rather than begging the question, wait, we knew this all along. Why didn't we keep it? Well, never mind that. Now everybody knows, So I always say, once you discover something, just move with it, instead of
cool.
being upset
Cool.
about it, just move with it. And now, so I've learned with a few healers that I've worked with, the word require has a softer energy to it. So when you say I require, because even desire, when I desire a car that I don't have, I'm also affirming I don't have it. So that through the research in that book, it's fascinating, the words. and the
I'm
things.
totally with you there, Curtis. I'm totally with you. When I learned how to pray, it was never asking. It was always gratitude that I have.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
sending out to the universe, this is cool. I have this in my mind in 3D as much as I
yeah,
can feel it. And then whether it physically manifests or not, it doesn't matter. I'm holding the frequency of it. And when I do, it sort of just comes to me. Now,
yeah.
Curtis is a practitioner of energetics and healing, and his website is vitasana.vip. You're going to see the links below this.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend that if you get a chance, just check it out. I think, if you resonate with what Curtis is saying, uh, miracles, miracles. Why don't you
Mm.
get into a little bit about what you do with your energetic practice?
Okay, so I think much like every practitioner out there, we all went to the dollar store first before we went shop at the big stores. Not to diminish Reiki, but Reiki seems to be the open door for a lot of us. So 4 years ago, I got curious with Reiki and I got into it. But the thing I noticed with that is, well, these other things were happening to me, and they weren't in the book. They weren't being taught through Reiki practices or principles. So, I mean, I found myself again closed. I was like, well, wait a sec. I can't even speak about this because the teacher says that you can't do that. And I didn't like that. It didn't resonate with me.
I know, isn't it crazy when you're the one who has to rewrite the book, when they hand you the spirit, hands you the machete, and you have to
Yeah.
carve the trail, and all your teachers are like, "Where are you going?"
Yeah. It really made me think to myself, is it because we say that this is all that can be done and that's all we can see? So I said, okay, well then help me. I would pray and I would say, help me release this closed mindedness or these blocks, these beliefs that I have, these limiting beliefs. Help me let go of them because they're unconscious. I think what happened to me at the time is I was beginning to question, you know, what is it? What is it about the closed mindedness? Is it unconscious? Can we not elevate our level of awareness to a certain point where we can let something else in? And why are we so guarded when it comes to beliefs and um, saying I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong, or that's wrong, this is right? And I find once we do that, we kind of put a fork in the road or a line in the sand of how much more we can let in. And I feel you can operate in your life in any way because you could have two people beside each other, both of them the same age, have a different set of beliefs. They're 20, they're 30, they're 40, they're 50, they're 60, they're 70, they're 80, they're 90, they're 100. What happened? They all aged two separate lives. So I'm not telling people there's only one right way to live.
God bless that. God bless that understanding.
Right. And so if you think it's all about living as long as you can, then fine. And that's okay. But you
And
may want
especially
to,
funny too if he wants to understand you're immortal.
right? Yeah. So you can release that fear of not only is having to get it all done. It's like, well, have the faith to affirm that where you are now is exactly where you want to be to get to where you have to go. And
Yep.
that to me is such a blessing because someone would say, well, what about all this stuff I don't like going on in my life? And I was like, well, have you embraced it yet? Or are you only simply fighting against it? And
Right, right.
then and
You
then
love the dragon.
you got to embrace the unknown. When it's currently in your life, stop fighting because you played a part in writing this role for yourself. So
I'm totally with you.
you better not be mad at the writer who is you, right? So
Let me give an example of how powerful and how quick this understanding that you're teaching can create. So after I realized I wasn't able to help Curtis in our session, I said, well, you might want to try the emotion code. And he tells me, yeah, I spent a lot of time with it. And I just asked Spirit, can it be done quicker, better? Now, I'd already used certain tools to enhance the emotion code, certain things that I was guided to do to make it quicker, faster. And then Curtis explains to me that, well, Peter, let's just go quick and fast beyond that, even. Okay. And what struck me was when I experienced it wasn't so powerful, but what struck me was he just simply asked to allow a new thing to come. And because of his openness, it did. So, can you kind of explain that whole experience of what that was like to bring in this new technique?
Yeah. So learning, Karuna Reiki, Holy Fire Reiki, UC Reiki, and then stepping into myself, taking, I'm not sure how many are familiar with it, but Marissa Peer has a course. It's called Rapid Transformational Therapy. It's kind of a hypnosis technique. And all the old books, some of these really old books that I was blessed to have received, and research, and all these current new books by amazing authors, and dealing with professors in the hypnosis course, I became fascinated with how the mind works. And I started to be able to cross over everything. Because it's like, it wasn't one thing that I was learning. What I noticed was all the things I'm learning are starting to connect something. So then that's when I discovered emotion code, and with Dr. Bradley Nielsen, and body code. I became a subject on the student forum for all the students who had to have 15 subjects to pass their exam. Of course, hey guys, just do your experiments on me. And I worked with so many of them. It was every week, and I loved it. And then I would work with practitioners. And in the forum, I would meet these other practitioners who are quite profound and quite wise in their own gifts. And we would get out of the forum, and that's when they started sharing their true gifts with me. And then I was like, oh, so this is really neat. They're not only closed to emotion code. And so that taught me that you can allow more in, and there is more available to us. So then
Amen. Thank you. More, please.
yeah. And this is what I would say. I would say those exact word, show me more of this, more of the same and beyond. And a lot of the phrases that we would use, access consciousness is another great resource for people to look into, but they have not necessarily trademarked, but they have kind of coined the phrase, what else is possible? Or
Hang on a
how
second.
can,
I just got to say that. Just got to say that. What else is possible?
right? And I encourage anybody listening, say it. Even when an unwanted experience happens, say to the universe. And even when you're like, what else is possible? Because
Amen.
now
What else is possible?
the universe has to elevate you out of that unwanted experience now. No choice. So there's also, how does it get any better than this? Right? So we all know what else we used to say. And I don't even like saying it, right? Because when you say it doesn't get, I don't even like going there, right? Because be careful what happens. We do have a say in the momentum of our lives, right? But
Yep.
yet we're going to come to a red light sometimes, and we're going to have to wait in line for coffee sometimes. So what? We get to do these things. And so I started saying, okay, after working so long for 3 years with practitioners, and I felt blessed that students would reach out to me and say, hey, I need someone for my course. Although I kind of got, yeah, like, this is great. Like, I love this. Thank you for blessing us with this. Although we're a push button society. Can you level up a bit, source? And careful what you ask for, because and I also say be open to receiving these things when you do ask.
Amen.
And also, I will also say, when you stop saying that the receiving has to be some kind of struggle, it comes in. Because
I'm just going to let more in. Just,
yeah, like source might say, oh, here it is, and it's this little thing on a napkin, and you're like, oh no, it's got to be harder than that. No, it's easy. See, we're the ones who say that there's this intervention, or there's this all these things that have to happen, or there's this ladder that we have to climb
You
in
know,
order.
I think mind likes to tell story for significance. I have to deal with my significance all the time, in case you haven't noticed this ego right here. So I love my ego and I give it its due. And if you're not aware of it in my conception, then you have to tell story. I struggled to get here and I did
Yeah,
this and I read these
yeah,
books and now I've been given this gift because I've climbed the mountaintop, as
yeah,
opposed to just saying, I was in my easy chair and I said it was easy and spirit gave me some easy goodness.
yeah. You know,
What kind of
I
story is that?
see what you just described was specialness, right? It's the ego that requires specialness. And I'm not saying that when you're standing on the edge of a cliff, your ego goes, no, no, you're worth it. Stay alive. So we're not going to destroy our ego. What we are going to say, ego, step aside.
Yeah. So what I do here, Curtis, is what I do is I acknowledge it. I am allowing, and I'm in a human body. So I'm going to take credit for this being magnificent. So I do both simultaneously
Yeah.
rather
No,
than step aside.
yes, it's all valuable, and you don't want to separate yourself from a part of yourself. When we're encouraging people to embrace all of themselves, we want you to embrace all of yourself, because we can't transcend what we fail to embrace.
Yeah. So I'm
It,
sorry, I'm interrupting you. Get back, please, to the story of, so you just asked for this easy way. We're in a push button
yeah,
society. So what happened?
yeah. So and now I am currently practicing on Fridays and Saturdays. I'm also a carpenter. I'm coming out of my carpenter days, and I asked Source to provide me with space so I can step into my healing practice. And I am blessed with having wonderful clients who are happy with me only being in their house 4 days a week so I can step into my healing practice. So yes, it is possible, people. You can blend your life with anything.
And
And so,
of course, you chose the carpenter, right? No, no metaphor there.
right?
Because look who's over my shoulder, the other
Yes.
carpenter.
Yes, yes, and bless Yeshua, right? Like bless Yeshua. Yeshua taught us a lot of things, and maybe they were misinterpreted, but that's okay. I think we're starting to find our way here a lot more. So, uh, to share a little bit with carpentry, see what a carpenter's really good at. We can destroy stuff, and we can also make it new. And
Cool.
I think unless we're willing to sacrifice ourself, die from the old self
Mm,
completely, and be reborn into the new.
I
Because I
like
have
that
many,
renovation, interior renovation. I like that.
yeah, we might have to make some merch. So, uh, okay. Uh, Now, after I asked ceaselessly, months, asking the same thing every night, give me more. And the days where I would see all this stuff going on in the world, or someone would tell me, because we all know that there's someone going to tell you what's going on in the world. I don't need to watch the news to know those things, but I would see it and I would say, I'm done with this, Source. Give me something now. And the more I stepped into that, affirming that I'm done, I'm not waiting anymore. And something came over me. I felt goosebumps. It was vibrations. There was something that happened. And not coincidentally enough, my next client the next morning at the clinic was a Reiki practitioner, and she's been coming to see me for pain in her lower back because of discs. So I got there in the morning and I said, listen, something happened to me last night. Are you cool with me experimenting on you? And of course she was all ready to do it. And
Nice.
now she had been experiencing a lot of pain in her lower back for a long time and not really having any relief from it for long periods of time. I had done Reiki on her lots, and she would notice moments of relief, but it was still kind of shifting in her body. And then I did this new style, and I haven't seen her in 3.5 months. It's interesting. She came into the clinic and she said, the pain is gone. It hasn't come back. How wonderful is that? So this works for pain. This works for anything. Even if you're a high achiever who's capped off at $1 million and you have colleagues who make 2 billion, and you don't seem to, you have this belief that you can only make that. This works for people like that too. Like, this isn't limited to only unwanted emotions. This is any kind of belief that you have momentum. We cut the momentum with this style, and it's wonderful to see people do it. I've used this style at events.
Mm-hmm.
I signed up at the 55 plus lifestyle event, where we had a lot of elderly people sign up over the weekend. There was 49 on Friday who signed up, and there was 37 on the Saturday who signed up. And one particular woman, there was so many wonderful stories. This one was quite interesting. There was a woman who said, sure, I'll sign up. And I offered 10-minute sessions. And she came in, I said, what would you like to work on? And so she said it was fear, the fear of getting back on the ski hills with her family, because she's a part of a skiing family, and that was their love. But she hasn't done it in 14 years because of this injury she had 15 years ago. And I said, okay, well, let's destroy that. So we go into it, we destroy it, we remove it. She stands up, smiles, and says, I have 24 hours to sign the family pack for the ski hill, and I'm going to buy skis. Now, whether or not that all worked out for her, I don't care. I'm more happy to that she could feel in that moment that she could actually do it in 14 years, because she was scared stiff of doing it. And then all of a sudden the fear disappeared. So to me, that's a win. And then one of the days, a deaf woman signed up, and her husband was deaf. So this was interesting. I asked Source, what do I do here? And I got a vision of a pen and paper in my hand, and it was so wonderful. And I said, oh, I have to write out my whole session. So that was interesting. So she picked stress and anxiety, and you know, not being able to express yourself, it must be quite difficult around a lot of people, you know, because we pick up energies. So I wasn't surprised she picked that. Although during it, I was like, this isn't my normal repertoire, because I can talk to people. So we had quite an interesting session. So she released it. We reduced it to 0. She was crying, and she went out, and she was in front of me walking out of my little booth. And her husband saw her from across. He was sitting waiting. And then he started crying because she was crying walking there towards him, and they hugged each other. And she came over to my sign. My sign says, release emotions. She pointed at the sign, and then she pointed at her heart.
Aww.
And I, in that moment, and I had 5 minutes left, and the event was closing. And I was like, what a gift to have this given to me so I could understand who else I can help. Because this isn't limited, you know. And at another event that I did it at, with the women's event here in Ottawa, a woman signed up, and we released an emotion, and it was on again the next day. So the same woman comes back with her young daughter, and her young daughter bravely came into the booth with me. And of course, she picked anxiety and stress, because I think a lot of kids are going through a lot of that stuff now. And she was stern, kind of abrasive when we started, and you could see the color coming back into her skin as we were reducing. And when we got down to 0, she started to have little tears, and she started giggling. And I almost like,
what a blessing.
I had goosebumps. I was so happy for her. And I looked her in the eyes, and I said, this is for you to do anytime you want. You know, and she came out, and she saw her mother, and her mother and her started crying. I was so happy for the both of them.
God,
and
that's beautiful.
And it's such a wonderful thing, Peter, because each person I do this with, more and more and more, they're like, this is gone. This thing's gone. And it's so fast that, you know, when I asked, I said, I love the emotion code, but there is a lot of processing, and there's a lot of things that go on, and not everyone's going to sign up for that stuff. So what I like about this is it's rapid. And there was just less than 100 people out of the 2 events combined that signed up. And out of the less than 100 people, only 7 of them had experienced energy work before. So I think
this is for everybody.
The curiosity of people now, I think, is building. and they're open to things, So, call it a gift because of the collective consciousness. I don't think anything happens here unless we're all ready for it.
See, I've always been taught that when a collective, a group consciousness like the planet is ready for something, then the avatar appears to provide
Yes.
it. So when we're
Yes.
ready for quantum physics, we got Einstein, right?
Yeah.
When we're ready for this, now we have our guest today,
Yeah.
Curtis Knuth, and the
Yes.
website is vitasana.vip. Now, we're going to have some fun. Curtis is going to demonstrate this with me. Yay, I get another session. And after that, we're going to talk a little bit, but hang out. Don't think it's only for me. We're going to expand it even more. Curtis is then going to do a process. And is it right? This is the first time you're trying this. We're going to do a process for everybody open watching it. And so be
Yes.
sure to put your comments below if you experience anything from that. That's going to be important feedback. Because this is where we're heading. We want everybody on the planet to have this and transmit it. So stick around because you're going to watch it happen with me, and then you're going to get to experience it towards the end of this discussion. And remember, if you want to talk to Curtis directly or sign up, it's vitasana.vip, and it'll be in the links below. All right, Curtis,
Awesome.
why don't you just take us through what we're going to do?
Okay. So I'll explain a little bit of what I do, how I do it. So I'm going to run so everyone can understand how this process works. Peter has agreed to do a session with me so you can see the process. And then after that, I'm going to do something that's more of a group oriented idea. So because it's a one-on-one thing, I get to become aware of where Peter's at through a reduction process, because I ask him questions during this process, which I won't be able to do with all of you. So I'm going to ask that you all become aware of your own inner guidance as you're doing this. And I promise you, you're all going to know and feel the reduction as it goes. So what I've learned to do is hold a space of non-judgment. And through the cultivation of releasing non-judgment over the last 6 years, it has become quite powerful. And I can hold light and I can channel it, and it's quite an amazing thing. And I think that we all have this ability. You have to know that you're doing it. And I had mentioned to Peter earlier before we jumped on this is that the sun's coming up tomorrow. You don't trust it's coming up. It's coming up. So trust and knowing are two different things. We are light beings. We have light. It's at our disposal. We often direct it in the wrong place. So what I would like everyone to do is direct it in the correct place and realize what is capable within, and you will begin to learn more about yourself and what is possible for all of us.
That's so beautiful because this is what I really am attracted to, besides the miracle, but I'm attracted to your understanding and your willingness to have everybody grow and become magnificent. You guys know I named my website and everything in this channel Becoming Awesome.
Awesome.
And Curtis,
Yeah.
you exemplify that. That's why I'm so happy to be able to be with you in this moment.
Well, I look at it like we're mirroring each other. Everyone's mirroring each other. So I would like people to mirror what I am offering and be that in their life, because it's as simple as holding a door for somebody. It's as simple as smiling at a stranger. It doesn't have to be difficult. We have some videos on our website that you can check out that we give simple examples to help create more equanimity in your life. So yeah, so I'm gonna get going with you, Peter. So, Peter, like we did the other day, is there a particular emotion that seems to be unwanted or seems to be on the forefront that you might be struggling with at the moment?
Yeah, so this has been present and it got amplified when I met you because I know my next step is to create a group collective of people who are working together. And part of that means giving up control. Part of that
Okay.
is worry about what is going to mean financially for me. Will I be okay and get my share? And part of that is ego, as far as, well, what about me? My job is to start it and pull into a group, what it's all going to be. So those three things are creating turmoil in me at the moment.
And is there a word, emotion that would describe that, all of that in one word?
The emotion would be anxiety. I am
Anxiety.
uncertain of the process here. I don't have,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. That's the one we're doing. Okay, I would like you to take a deep breath in. And as you're exhaling, I want you to softly close your eyes. And I want you to allow yourself to bring up all the people, places, circumstances, all the things that are currently causing you to experience anxiety.
It's coming through as soon as we started.
So really allow yourself to go deep, go into those dark places, those things that you're not willing to share with people, let them come up. Wonderful. And just get yourself to that worst place, that place that really sucks. You got to bring it up. There it is. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's absolutely horrible and 1 being it's beautiful, where are we at on the spectrum?
Was a 10 a second ago. It's about a 9 now.
Okay, that's truth. So I want you to hold that there.
Oh, 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 oh. It's pulling back. It's about a 6 or 7, but it's kind of like blocking, but it's
Wonderful.
lower.
So keep giving yourself permission to release this now.
You're welcome here. You're welcome here. You're welcome here. Oh, oh, oh. Ooh. It's about a 4. It's tightening up in my legs. Oh,
Wonderful. You're doing amazing. So keep giving yourself permission to release this now, Peter.
ah. You're welcome to release. You're welcome to express. You're welcome here. Anxiety, you're welcome here. Oh, all right. That drained it down to about a 2, but it's just a
Okay,
little bit
so
of
keep going. So
oh,
keep acknowledging. This isn't about forgiveness. The thing about people who actually forgive, they finally acknowledge. So this is about acknowledge. So keep giving yourself permission to release this now.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you're welcome to pass. You're welcome to express. You're welcome to get as big as you want and totally go. Hmm. Hmm. It's not quite completely gone. It's about 1, maybe 0.5, but just
Yeah.
a little
So
bit.
keep going. Yeah, keep
All
going.
right.
Keep giving yourself permission to release this now.
Your acknowledged anxiety. Every little bit of you, that tightness in my legs, that crook in my neck, every little bit of you is welcome here. You can be here. You can express. You can release. Oh. Okay. Okay. Little tidbit, just a little smidge. Come on, brother. You're
Okay, so
welcome here,
keep going.
anxiety. You're
Keep
welcome
giving
here,
yourself
anxiety.
permission to release this now, Peter.
You can release now. Every little bit of you can be released if you choose. You're welcome to express anxiety. I think we're there. I think we're there. I'm not feeling the emotional charge. I'm feeling the mental set and I'm feeling the body remembering, but I'm not feeling the emotional charge.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Wowzers. Oh, oh, I gotta just scrunch up and stretch these muscles out a bit here. See, Harry, guys, you're watching this interview, but there's no professional veneer being put over it. This is the reality of the moment. So glad you're enjoying that too.
I'm super happy for you, Peter.
Oh,
I love when people release and allow themselves to go there. And thank you for doing that.
thank you
So
for holding that space and doing whatever part you were in making this connection. It was interesting because I'm kind of always aware of what's going on, but this one I wasn't. I was just in the field. And
yeah,
obviously you were there too. At some point, I'm going to be saying, "Hey, Curtis, how are you going to teach me this? I want this."
yep.
Right. But normally when I'm in a process, I'll be observing. If this one I wasn't, I was just totally in it. So whatever you were doing on your part, it was encompassing. I really appreciate
Well,
that.
I feel like it's timeline shifting for you.
Yeah, that's just what I want to do before we get into the next part where you do this with everybody. I want to have a brief discussion because that's the way I understand it is when you're release an energy packet, then you're open to other realities, which is different using different timelines. Now,
Yes.
I just literally cut a video that went out a couple of weeks ago where I said, you got to replace something. Whenever you take something out, you got to replace it because most of the clients I work with will go back into the old mindset, the train running down the track. I'll just pull them right back into it. So I want to get something new there. Now, we were having a discussion earlier before we started the recording. And Curtis, you started talking about when it gets a little bit messy or uncomfortable when you make a quantum leap because your
Yeah.
perspective wasn't so much that you replace it but you allow more. Can you speak to that please, because I want to learn what you know.
Yeah. So anyone who studies this stuff, a lot of everyone knows, Nikola Tesla, you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, right? So now you go into the studying of that, and however many years it takes you to actually convince yourself that we are frequency beings, then one would beg the question, well, what does that mean? Can we be a low vibration? Of course. Can we be a high vibration? Of course. Sometimes we are unconsciously in a high vibration and we feel so great. And then sometimes we're brought so low, we're like, I can't even stand myself. Well, then what's going on? Right. So what happens here is when we have something that's affecting us, we're in a lower vibration. And when someone like myself helps you assist in what we perceive as releasing, all that's happening is you're going from a lower vibration to a higher vibration. And we all know that higher frequency
I
feels
want to just interject for a second to help me and everybody else listening to understand it, because my previous mindset was that I'm over here and I release something, right? And that
yeah,
allows me to go up. What I'm hearing you say, if I understand it, is you're not really releasing anything. You're changing your density so you're in that higher vibration. So the
which
perspective is,
is perceived as lighter.
yes. So
You
the
feel lighter,
perspective, it's no longer me who just changed something, but it's now a different place in the field I occupy. It's a very different, subtle mindset for me. And I just wanted to say that so I help learn it. But I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you again. Please go on.
no, no, I'll give you an example. So a coworker of mine had a cold and he asked me, can you do this with my cold? I said, oh, certainly. "Well, what's a cold? It's a low vibration. Okay, let's go into it. We cut it. And he went home that night and he said he's never sweat so much in his life, but he woke up feeling amazing. So what happened there is the cold is the lower vibration. And all that's happening is we're raising his frequency, which the cold can't operate at this higher frequency. And which was ended up he made him feel better. And he said he never sweat so much in his night. And normally it takes him a couple of weeks to get rid of a cold, but it was gone in one night. So
Wow.
these things aren't limited, right? And so we can work with physical, we can work with emotional trauma, anything that is affecting you or anything that seems to be limiting you. We can go cut the energy. All it does is it sprinkles more vibrational light onto that circumstance. So out of the gate, you may go out there and be like, well, the same people are there, but I don't feel the same anxiety. So I'm not going to tell you that all your circumstances are going to change immediately. You're going to perceive it differently because you're in a higher vibration.
Right, right. I've been taught under miracles that sometimes it manifests, sometimes somebody shows up and gives you and you speaks the word of God, you get instructions on what to do, and sometimes nothing changes, but you don't care anymore. And
That's
that's a
it.
miracle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as we love these things, we all have a responsibility to contribute. And sometimes contributing is so simple, getting out of someone's way, not having them clean up after you. We're all so concerned, how do we contribute? How do we contribute? And we all have this urge and eagerness
Mhm.
to be out there and be as somebody, but sometimes it's as simple as just getting out of someone's way. Don't make someone pay for your mistakes. And the thing is it's simple. Like, notice that someone might need a door held open. Like, it's not as difficult as we make it. And you'll notice that without hidden motive, because when you say, okay, Kurt, I'm going to go out tomorrow and I'm going to hold doors open and maybe give someone a coffee and let people in line ahead of me, or smile at strangers, and then I'm going to expect everything. Well, that's hidden motive. Do it because it brings grace into your life. Do it because it's graceful to be like that,
Yeah, I
you
get you.
know,
I
and
get
and
you.
and and not everyone will express that the same way. Do it the way you do it,
The beauty of
right?
you, the beauty of you.
Yeah, yeah,
Could, yeah. Could you speak for just a second? Earlier, before with the recording, you started talking about sometimes you're in this new frequency, things are lighter, and it may be a little messy because you're not as experienced with it. And that messiness can actually be even more growth opportunities, if I understood what you were saying. Could you speak to that a bit, please?
yeah. So I'll start with one idea. So say you and your wife are going somewhere you've never been, and you're attempting to prepare for this place you've never been. You can only prepare so much. So you're only going to go over the fundamentals. Do I need socks? Do I need underwear? Do I need pants? Do I need sandals? Other than that, what's the temperature? You're going there. So you land in this new place. It's going to feel uncomfortable. In a couple of days, are you going to feel elated? You feel like you've never been this happy before? Well, of course. But at first, you were in the beautiful place still, but what was keeping you from feeling elated? It's because it was uncomfortable. It's not because it was the wrong place to be, because that place you eventually felt elated with. So when people are going through these spiritual transformations, give yourself a break, because you don't know that destination. So when you stumble upon it, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel foreign to you. You're going to be like, I don't know, I don't want to do this, I'm going to go back to comfort. But no, you're going to want to stay there and just like walk and get used to it and explore this new part of yourself, because I promise you, in a couple days it's going to start to feel so right. and
Yeah.
and and that is such an amazing thing that I myself and some friends of mine who I was blessed with to go kind of through my spiritual journey together, is we allowed ourselves to go there without all this expectation of, well, then now, three arms have to grow out of my back because I stepped into this stuff or something. It's like that those things aren't going to happen. I mean, maybe one day, who knows? All possibilities are
Rearmed
available,
Curtis. Oh, yeah.
right? So it's understanding that, yes, you're still going to wake up tomorrow and there's going to be a red light, and there's sometimes you're going to get into a coffee shop and you'll be put in line. But who are you going to be in that lineup? Interesting enough, it made me think of something. It was about a year ago. I was standing in a lineup And here, I'm not sure with everybody else, but we have Tim Hortons here and it's pretty popular. So I'm standing in line and you could see trainee, 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 trainee. So all the cash registers were all in training. And so the lineups were taking quite a long time. And there was a guy in front of me and he was losing his mind. And, I have allowed myself to embody equanimity in my life. So I don't say anything, although it was going on for about 15 minutes. And, I turned and looked at him and I said, in moments like this, I always think about someone that's laying in a bed in a hospital, looking out the window, would trade places with me in a heartbeat. And he said, shit, man, I just got out of the hospital. So, you know, that that that's that that's that thing that I was trying to say. Go out, open to anything, to be of service to anyone, to contribute to any moment without that hidden motive of how it's going to unplay
And
or
then
play out. Sorry.
personality steps aside and
Yeah.
spirit can say the right thing.
Yeah.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Are you
Yeah.
ready to try this with the
I am.
group watching? Okay,
Yes.
so before we do, just one more reminder, vitasana.vip. Links are below. Beautiful guest today, Curtis Knuth. And
Yes.
take it over and guide us, please.
Awesome. So anyone listening right now, I'd like to invite you to relax yourself, even in the seat you're in, and even as I'm sitting, I can still be relaxed, so you don't need to lay down. And allow yourself to take a deep breath in. And as you're exhaling, to softly close your eyes. We truly only get out what we put in, so you're going to have to allow yourself to go there. The real blessing of this style is I do not require to know your deep, dark secrets. Source knows. So you're allowed to bring them up. You don't have to tell anyone. It's not your burden to bear. So you can release these things. So I want you to go over anything that could possibly be causing any grief in your life or unwanted circumstances or emotions that possibly be causing physical pain or emotional pain or suffering or anxiety in your life. I want you to pick one that resonates with you. There are no limits to this. So that one that first popped in your mind that you may be wanting to release is the one that we're going to do today. And I just want you to allow yourself to bring up all the people, places, circumstances, all the things that could be causing this unwanted emotion in your life. And really let yourself go deep into those dark places and bring them up. And it's helpful to allow yourself to go to your worst day. Just really let yourself go there. And I want you to ask yourself on the scale, on a spectrum of 1 to 10, 10 being it's absolutely horrible, and 1 being it's perfectly fine. Think of that number that comes to mind first. And I'll remind all of you, you went to a deep, dark place. So I do not believe it would be below 5. You got to really give yourself permission to go there and be honest with yourself of where that number is. And now that you have your number, I want you to hold those images, those people, places, circumstances, all those things that have ever caused this unwanted emotion in your life. And I want you to hold them and just place them in the forefront of your mind. And just allow yourself to be there. And now where are we at on the spectrum? What's the number at now? Allow that to come to your mind. And keep acknowledging and giving yourself permission to release this now. And what's the number at now? So allow that to come to your mind. These burdens are not yours. They're not yours to hold on to. It is time to release these things now. Give yourself permission to release this now. And what's the number at now? You are all doing amazing. Keep giving yourself permission to release this now. And what's the number at now? For some of you, it may be gone. For some of you, it may be 1.5. Keep acknowledging and giving yourself permission to release this now. It is time to let these things go now. And what's the number at now? Wonderful. This is available to anybody. It's a gift that we can all receive. Thank you for joining me.
Mhm. Thank you, Curtis, for sharing this. Oh my gosh. Those of you who are watching, please write your comments below. This is a learning experience for everybody. And more importantly, as you claim your experience, you live it. It's the new story you tell, it's the frequency you're residing in. Besides inspiring everybody else to know they can move into those frequencies. And that is going to be a huge service to the planet. So I'd love to share what happened with me, but Curtis, before I do, I'd like to ask you, uh, how was it for you working in a collective, not even knowing who yet will be watching and receiving this? How was that for you?
Something I notice that happens when I'm working with individuals is I feel this additional light pouring through me. And what I noticed there, it was a really golden white light permeating. And my awareness says that that was available to anyone at any time. You can re-listen to that over and over and over and over again and blow out any emotion you would like. And I feel that that is a blessing. And I would love to work with anybody who is open to discovering more about themselves and maybe seeing things from a different perspective. Um, I find a lot of this spiritual stepping into that everyone does is kind of like looking at an abstract piece of art when two people are in different locations in the room looking at the art. They are in a disagreement what they're looking at until they step in the same place and see it from the same direction. So sometimes we have to allow other perspectives in to see our lives from a different perspective.
Beautiful, beautiful. So for me, it was interesting because, I was like, conscious mind, what did you do? And it was like, shh. So I could just
Yeah.
feel the presence and I'm just, okay. So I was just an observer the whole time and knowing that there was a lot flowing and that, I can say my consciousness, but because it's the oneness field, who knows, right? All I can see is that consciousness was directed into this field. And it wasn't like sometimes when I see who's receiving it or something like that. I was just in this field and I could feel the tension of the field and I can feel it drop, 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 drop over time. And then towards
Yeah.
the end, I start talking with Archangel Michael because he and I talk sometimes. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. See, a long time ago, I learned how to do this wholeness blessing that I was initiated to transmit. And then just a few weeks ago, Archangel Michael said, okay, you're going to do this on the internet. And I'm like, I was taught not to do that. And Archangel Michael says, you're going to listen to the guy who taught, you're going to listen to me. Right. So, so old energy, old rules, right? The teachers say
Yeah.
do it, but new energy, new rules, right?
Yeah.
So I did this, and so far the comments in the video is like, yeah, something's happening, right? So Archangel Michael's like, this isn't that different than what I'm doing, but do you see that? And I'm like, and earlier I had said to you, Curtis, well, I want to learn this and stuff. And Archangel Michael's like, Peter, you just sat in the field. You can do this.
Yes.
And I'm like, so it's now my game, if I choose to accept it, right? The Mission Impossible, bump, if you choose to accept it, is to, when I'm working with people, say, hey, I just had this experience. Archangel Michael told me I can give this out. Would you like
Yes.
to practice with me? And
Yes.
see how that goes. So that was my experience. It's like, dude, you just transformed me, because I'm already thinking what it's going to be like when lots of us are doing this. Because my belief is
Yeah.
it's all hands on deck right now. We got 8 billion people who are ready to go
Yeah.
up. And if we can have many of us do this. So
One of the greatest thing a light worker can hear is, "Can you help me?" My girlfriend taught me that.
can you help me? I love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
we're going to wrap this up now. And do you have anything you'd like to close with, Curtis?
I think the biggest thing is, we want to contribute, right? And we think it has to be some big audacious thing. Um, it doesn't, it can be for anybody. It can be your family. Maybe we've, looked over our family. We think that maybe they're getting in the way, but when's the last time you said "I love you" to your family member? I think those are the words that maybe they could hear, and I would think it's hard to do that sometimes for some circumstances. I also think that if you can't love your family, you can't really know what it is to love our creator. So, you may want to check in with yourself a little bit and go introspection. I say this a lot to clients, and I think it's one of those things that they always say, "Oh, Kurt's saying that again." But it's so simple that not a lot of people actually let it in. So I say, a boat wasn't discovered through the contemplation of the sinking of things. It was discovered through the contemplating of the floating of things. Okay. So when you only contemplate your divine self, when you only contemplate your limitless self, when you only contemplate the love that's within you that is aching to permeate in the world, you're going to float. And when you allow your thoughts to go in the other directions, you're going to sink. So it's a decision. Wake up, contemplate the ways that you can versus the ways that you can't, and only contemplate the ways that you can. Because I promise you, it permeates everything.
Oh God, yes.
And for any of those struggling, maybe possibly with sleeping, we tend to think of unwanted thoughts when we're laying awake. There must be something wrong with me. Why am I sleeping? Everybody else can sleep. Why am I the only one? That's not going to help you sleep. You know what helps you sleep? Harmony thoughts, love, peace, kindness, inclusion,
Right.
forgiveness.
Use those awake times to make that your focus.
Because you drift off. You
Yeah,
drift off. You won't even remember when you fall asleep, when you just allow those words to come over your awareness.
yeah.
So
And
thank you.
everybody who's hearing this, we're in new energy. And it's not
Yeah.
just one shift, it's continuing new energy.
Yeah.
So even though you
Yes.
may not have practiced this before, know that it's going to be faster and stronger because
Yes.
you're showing up to allow it. That little focus, like Curtis just said about your contemplation, just keep
Yeah.
letting it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the website is vitasana.vip. You
Yeah.
can contact Curtis directly. And
Yeah.
thank you for the like, the subscribe. Forward this to people that you think will be benefiting from it. And many, many blessings to everybody watching this. Thank you for being your beautiful self and sharing yourself today, Curtis.
Oh, thank you so much, Peter, for having me. I really appreciate it.